Hello guys, welcome back to Game Nation 4K. This is the evolution of WWE 2K. In this video, we'll play every game in the series and see how it evolved over the years. WWF Smackdown, the very first game in the series released for the PlayStation in 2000. Developed by Ukes and published by THQ, it was based on Smackdown TV show that had just premiered in late 1999. The game captured that chaotic vibe perfectly, with wrestlers like the Dudley Boys making their debut in the roster. In Japan, they called it exciting pro wrestling instead. What made this game stand out was its weird but creative unlock system. Instead of just giving you new characters as rewards for playing through season mode, it made you build them. You'd earn body parts piece by piece, like unlocking a wrestler's head, then their torso, until you could finally create that hidden superstar yourself. The gameplay had all the over-the-top match types fans loved. Standard singles matches, tag team chaos, hardcore brawls with weapons everywhere, and even steel cage showdowns, and people loved it. In the UK, it shot straight to the top of the sales charts when it came out, then climbed back up again 3 months later. It sold over 300,000 copies there alone, earning a platinum certification. WWF Smackdown 2, Know Your Role, hit the PlayStation in November 2000. It followed up the success of the original WWF Smackdown and marked the second entry in what would become an iconic wrestling game series. This time around, Know Your Role made some major upgrades. Season mode was completely revamped. The preseason from the first game was scrapped, and in its place we got deeper storylines and more matches on each show, making the experience feel way more like watching the actual WWF programming. One of the biggest game changers? The new and improved Create a Superstar mode. Unlike the first game's limited mix and match templates, players could now build custom wrestlers with way more detail and personality. You could even assign managers like Paul Bearer or Tori to your superstars. On top of that, new creation features were added. Create a moveset, create a taunt, and create a stable, which let you form teams of up to 4 members. WWF Smackdown, just bring it. Released in 2001 for the PlayStation 2. This was the first game in the series to feature play-by-play commentary. This would be the only game in the series in which players were allowed to have 8 players on the screen at once. Additionally, this was the first game of the series to give each wrestler 2 different finishing moves, as well as the first game to allow editing of the in-game wrestlers' movesets. Just Bring It was also the first game in the series to feature authentic, complete ring entrances. WWE Smackdown Shut Your Mouth. Released in 2002, it was the first game to be released under the WWE name. Instead of a short run, players now went through a full 2-year in-game career, packed with storylines, rivalries, and evolving title pictures. And for the first time ever, the game introduced the brand extension, separating superstars between Raw and Smackdown. Just like its predecessor, championship titles couldn't be contested in exhibition mode and could only be defended or won in season mode. Graphically, Shut Your Mouth received a major overhaul. Superstar models were more detailed, featuring realistic facial expressions and body scans, and every wrestler had their fully animated entrance, complete with pyrotechnics, music, and accurate mannerisms. WWE Smackdown Here Comes the Pain. Released in 2003 and brought some real changes. The game now has a new, smoother grappling system that still keeps the fast action you love. It shows body damage and has a submission meter for both the wrestler applying a hold and the one trying to break free. Every wrestler now also has their own stats, like strength, endurance, and speed, that make each match feel different. The game also introduced new types of matches, such as the Elimination Chamber and the Bra and Panties match. With a roster of over 50 wrestlers from the WWE at the time, this was the last game where The Rock and Stone Cold Steve Austin appear as regular, active wrestlers. It's also the first game where you can play as future stars like John Cena, Batista, and Rey Mysterio. Season mode got a simple upgrade too. A new locker room menu lets you visit the general manager's office to ask for title shots or switch brands, and you even get a chance to talk with other wrestlers backstage. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw came out in 2004 and kept much of what you loved from the previous game. Now, you get to enjoy mini-games both before and during matches. A new feature is the Clean Dirty system. This lets you choose if your wrestler is clean, dirty, or neutral. If you pick clean or dirty, a special meter fills up when you perform actions or moves that fit that style, and this can change the way your wrestler fights. The game also introduced a Create a Championship mode. In this mode, you can create your own title and then defend it in your own custom pay-per-view events. And for the first time in the series, Smackdown vs. Raw offered an online mode. You could play single matches or even bra and panties matches against friends over the internet. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2006. Released in November 2005, it was the first game in the series to hit the PlayStation Portable, and it was the last PlayStation exclusive title in the series. This game shifted the focus toward greater realism and authenticity, moving away from the arcade-style gameplay of earlier games. A brand new momentum bar replaced the old clean, dirty, and smackdown meter. Now, if you choose to fight clean, your wrestler is seen as a face while fighting dirty marks them as a heel. You also need to keep an eye on the stamina bar, which drains as you push your wrestler's offense. Grappling received a major upgrade too. Each character could now select 3 grapples out of 7 different styles. In addition, each character has a separate clean, dirty grapple and a submission grapple, adding up to 5 different grapples in total. Smackdown vs. Raw 2006 went on to become the best-selling game for the PlayStation 2 in the series, and a special Steelbook version was released exclusively in Australia. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2007. Released worldwide in November 2006 for PlayStation 2 and Xbox 360, and then a month later for the PlayStation Portable. It introduced a new analog control grappling system that lets you throw and pick up your opponent from any angle. The graphics saw a huge boost as well. On the Xbox 360, each superstar is made up of about 20,000 polygons, compared to just 5,000 in the previous game on the PlayStation 2. The audio in the game was completely overhauled too, including fresh crowd chants and realistic grunts from the wrestlers. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2008. This game brings several exciting changes to the gameplay. Each wrestler now has 2 fighting style categories, one primary and one secondary. This means every style comes with its own advantages and disadvantages, depending on the type of match you're in. A brand new system called Struggle Submission System adds more control using the analog stick. When you lock in a submission, you can now decide how much pressure to apply by moving the stick in the desired direction. The game also offers a variety of game modes with different goals and options. The older season and general manager modes have been combined into the new WWE 24/7 mode. One standout feature of this edition is the revived ECW brand, which now sits proudly alongside the Raw and Smackdown brands. The ECW logo is even featured on the box art, and its inclusion expands the arsenal of weapons available under the ring. For example, new items like guitars are introduced, and you can now see tables and barbed wire bats set on fire during matches. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2009. One of the most prominent additions is the enhanced tag team match system. In these matches, you can use new tagging options such as the hot tag, which lets you quickly swap in your partner when you're in trouble, and the forced blind tag, which allows your partner to tag themselves into the ring illegally. Another standout feature is the introduction of the Inferno match, the first time a WWE video game allowed you to set your opponent on fire. To succeed in an Inferno match, you need to build up the ring's temperature by landing powerful, devastating moves. Once the ring hits 500 degrees Fahrenheit, you can start setting your opponent ablaze. In addition, the game brought in signature moves. These are moves that are secondary in importance to finishing moves but can be stored when your momentum is high, letting you save them for a strategic moment later in the match. Lastly, a new semi-auto targeting system was implemented. This system automatically selects the wrestler you want to attack, making it easier to hit your target during fast-paced action, though you still have the option to control targeting manually if you prefer. WWE Smackdown vs. Raw 2010. Released in 2009 and became the first of the series to be available as an iPhone app, but in 2010, the game had been removed from the App Store. The game introduced the Story Designer, allowing fans to craft their own storylines for shows like Raw, Smackdown, or ECW. This feature offered over 100 animations and 25 locations, enabling customization of scenes with unique dialogues, camera angles, and character emotions. The Create a Superstar mode received a significant overhaul, presenting improved graphics and new customization options. Additionally, the introduction of the Paint tool allowed for the creation of custom logos and tattoos. A standout addition was the Community Creations feature, enabling gamers to share their custom content online, from wrestlers and storylines to finishing moves and highlight reels. In terms of gameplay, new match types like the Championship Scramble and mixed tag team matches were introduced. Visual enhancements includes more realistic blood effects and hit detection. Smackdown vs. Raw 2011. One of the coolest changes in this game is its brand new physics system. In TLC matches, for example, tables now break in different ways depending on the force of the impact, and ladders can be rested on the ring ropes. If you hit them hard enough, they might even break apart. For the first time since WWE Smackdown vs. Raw, you can also throw chairs at your opponents. Best of all, the cell door has been removed, so you can even barrel through the cage wall to exit the match. Backstage, things have never felt more dynamic. For the first time since WWE Smackdown Shut Your Mouth, you can freely roam around the backstage areas in the main story mode. WWE 12, the first game developed exclusively for the 7th generation consoles. The game ditched the old weak, strong grapple system. Instead, wrestlers now perform different moves based on their opponent's current physical state, giving you the chance to attack during those crucial moments when your opponent is down, or even interrupt moves in Royal Rumble eliminations. The pinning meter got a serious makeover too. As a wrestler takes more damage, it becomes increasingly difficult for them to kick out. Also, this game brought back the ability to store finishing moves. One of the coolest new features is the dynamic comebacks system, which rewards players on the brink of defeat by giving them a window to pull off a chain of moves that earns them 2 finishing moves. And with the introduction of wake-up taunts, you can even bring a downed opponent back to their feet for a final dramatic finishing move. WWE 13. It was not only the 13th overall installment, but also the final in the series published by THQ before the company closed its doors in January 2013, ending a 14-year relationship with WWE. After THQ's liquidation, Take-Two Interactive picked up the publishing rights, rebranding future titles as the WWE 2K series. This game replaced the classic Road to WrestleMania mode with a fresh Attitude Era mode that lets you play through 6 different storylines inspired by that wild period in WWE history. And now we have WWE 2K14. This game is actually an update to its predecessor, packing in a host of tweaks and fresh features that really enhance the overall experience. The navigation system sees big improvements, with smoother walking, running, and even dragging motions that help make the in-game action feel more natural. Characters now move faster too, with starting up animations before a run to stop players from spamming running attacks. One exciting change is that all chain reversals now lead into offensive attacks, which speeds up the flow of matches by cutting down on endless reversal sequences, and catapult finishers can be used offensively to create more dynamic moments. The Create a Superstar mode has been expanded significantly, offering save slots for up to 100 custom characters, and even the ability to use existing superstars as templates for new custom variants. It also features a single-player campaign, The 30 Years of WrestleMania, which lets you dive into nearly 3 decades of WWE history and experience iconic moments from the past. In November 2014, we got WWE 2K15. It made the matches feel more real, slower, more methodical, and way more like what you see on TV. Right from the start, you'll notice the difference. There's a brand new chain wrestling system, only available on current-gen consoles and PC. At the beginning of the match, tapping the grapple button triggers a collar and elbow tie-up. It's a mini-game that lets you fight for control early on, just like you see in real matches. Then there's the 3-tier stamina meter. Every strike, every run, every big move, it all drains stamina. The more you push, the slower and weaker your wrestler becomes. You've got to pace yourself, or you'll burn out fast. And if you want a faster match, no problem. You can adjust the stamina settings or turn it off completely. Another cool feature, during those early chain grapples, you can focus on specific limbs. That makes it harder for your opponent to fight back.
Strongest man.
WWE 2K16. This game packs over 120 playable wrestlers, legends, current superstars, NXT standouts. It's one of the largest lineups in series history. But it's not just about who's in the ring. How the game plays also got a serious upgrade. The reversal system was completely reworked. No more reversal spamming. Now you've got a limited stock of reversals, so you've got to use them wisely. Rest holds were also added, letting wrestlers slow things down and regain stamina. Combine that with the returning chain wrestling mechanic, and early match pacing feels way more realistic. Pins and submissions were revamped too. Submissions especially are more skill-based now. There are also quality of life touches, like no more loading screens between entrances. And if you want to spice things up, you can now run in and attack your opponent during their entrance. Now, not everything hits perfectly. Character models and lighting are improved, but facial animations and crowd reactions still feel off at times. And yeah, the commentary is still kind of flat. It doesn't quite match the energy of a real show. WWE 2K17. There's no single-player story mode in the base game. Unlike previous entries, 2K17 came without a traditional career or showcase mode. Story-driven mode was eventually added later as DLC, but at launch it was noticeably absent. That said, there's still a solid variety of game modes to dive into, especially if you're into universe mode or just want to set up dream matches. The biggest new feature, the star rating system. It shows up during matches and basically judges your performance. If you want a high rating, you've got to keep the action fresh, mix up your moves, build momentum, and keep the crowd engaged. Spam the same finisher over and over, you'll get docked for it. Managers now have actual ringside roles. They can distract the ref, interfere, or hype you up. There's also a brand new promo system. You can cut promos using a dialogue tree, kind of like something out of a Telltale game. It's not perfect, but it's a cool step toward bringing more personality into your wrestler's career. Now, if you love the showcase mode in 2K16, here's the bad news. 2K17 dials way back on historical content.
Big Boss Man has been
WWE 2K18. Being the first title released only on 8th gen hardware and the first to drop on PC and consoles at the same time. Right out of the gate, 2K18's big selling point was the visual upgrade. With a brand new graphics engine, everything looks sharper. Character models are more detailed, lighting is more realistic, and animations feel smoother than ever. And yes, Kurt Angle is finally back as a playable character, making his long-awaited return to the series. There are new superstar parts and materials to play with, including a glow effect that lets you make hair, outfits, and even logos light up. Another major feature that fans had been asking for years. 8-man matches are finally here. After being gone since the days of Smackdown, Just Bring It. In terms of gameplay, the core mechanics are still familiar. There are some tweaks and improvements, but it mostly builds on what 2K17 started. It's smoother, more polished, and more stable overall, but not a complete overhaul. WWE 2K19 is the 20th entry in the series, and it shows just how far the franchise has come. Visually, this game doesn't miss. The graphics are top tier with some of the most detailed character models the series has ever had. Every major superstar is here, and they're designed to look as lifelike as possible. From facial expressions to entrance gear, it's all on point. Speaking of entrances, the cutscenes are beautifully done. Wrestler entrances feel pulled straight from a live broadcast, complete with accurate choreography, camera angles, and lighting. It's clear the devs put in the work to nail the presentation. Another strong point, voice acting. The game uses real voice lines from actual WWE superstars, which adds even more authenticity to the whole experience. It helps sell the drama, especially during promos and story moments. 2K19 brings a stacked lineup with a wide variety of superstars from across generations. As for the gameplay, when it works, it really works. Moves are fluid, detailed, and hard-hitting. That said, not every animation hits perfectly. Some moves can be a little clunky or unresponsive at times, but when the timing clicks, they look fantastic in motion.
Yeah, but sometimes you just enjoy beating somebody.
WWE 2K20. This game was supposed to be a fresh start, but instead it became one of the most infamous entries in the entire franchise. This was the first game in the series not developed by Yuke's, the studio that had been behind every WWE game since 2000. Instead, visual concepts took over completely, and fans were hoping for something fresh. What they got was a game full of bugs, glitches, and broken features. Critics and players alike slammed it. The gameplay felt like a step backward from 2K19. Reviews were overwhelmingly negative, and it quickly became a running joke in both the wrestling and gaming communities. The fallout was big. They canceled the upcoming WWE 2K21, putting the main series on hold for 2 years. During that time, they dropped a spin-off, WWE 2K Battlegrounds, a more arcade-style spin-off to hold the fans over. Battlegrounds is all about over-the-top arcade action. There's also a single-player campaign, multiplayer modes, and tons of unlockables. You can fight in swamps, military bases, and even a wrestling ring in the middle of a zoo. Yeah, it goes all in on the arcade vibe. WWE 2K22. This game had a single job: make us forget about 2K20. And honestly, it did a pretty solid job. The whole thing was rebuilt on a new gameplay engine, and it made a big difference. Matches felt faster, smoother, and everything flowed better. One standout feature was the addition of dynamic camera angles during key match moments. Big reversals, signature moves, and finishers now look more cinematic and impactful. The graphics got a serious upgrade too. Wrestlers looked better, lighting was cleaner, and entrances finally had that TV-style presentation fans have been waiting for. And they didn't stop at visuals. 2K22 brought back some long-missed features, starting with My GM mode. For the first time in years, you could run your own brand, draft your roster, book shows, and go head-to-head in the ratings war. Career mode, now called My Rise, gave you separate stories for male and female characters.
Look at him.
WWE 2K23. This time, it wasn't about rebuilding, it was about refining. The gameplay engine introduced in 2K22 returns, but it's tighter, faster, and more balanced. Reversals, hit detection, and the overall match pacing feels better. Showcase mode this time focused on the career of John Cena, but instead of playing as Cena, you play as the superstars who beat him throughout his career. My GM mode also gets deeper this year. More brands, more match types, new GMs, and expanded options for rivalries and power cards finally feels like a real management sim. My Rise returns with 2 brand new storylines, the Legacy for female superstars and the Lock for male superstars. There's more voice acting, more branching choices, and a better sense of progression overall. In the Universe mode, you got more control over cutscenes and rivalries, while My Faction keeps expanding with online play and more card collecting content. One of the biggest additions, Wargame. For the first time ever, the chaotic double ring, double cage match is fully playable. WWE 2K24. Right off the bat, the roster is huge. Legends, current stars, Hall of Famers, you name it. Everyone looks amazing, with incredibly detailed models that capture their look, gear, and personality, right down to the smallest detail. It's honestly the best the series has ever looked. And this time around, we've got some fan-requested match types making a comeback. You can now play casket matches, gauntlet, ambulance matches, and even step back into chaos with the classic backstage brawl. There's also a guest referee match type, finally letting you call the shots in the ring or totally mess things up. My Faction steps it up too. You can now take your custom squad online, face off against others, and climb seasonal leaderboards to earn cool rewards. And My GM gets even better. You can now buy permanent upgrades, scout talent, and trade superstars between brands. Super finishers let you burn all 3 of your finisher stocks for one brutal move. You can dive into crowds of opponents, and there are new weapons like microphones and trash cans to bring some extra chaos to your matches. WWE 2K25. This game is a huge step forward in both gameplay and visuals, making it the most impressive installment in the series so far. Graphically, the game shines with enhanced character models, improved skin textures, and upgraded lighting that reacts more naturally across arenas. Wrestlers look more lifelike, with better facial expressions, muscle definition, and detailed gear. Sweat, lighting, and motion effects have all been refined in this game. The arenas themselves also feel more alive. On the gameplay side, several big changes make a difference. Intergender matches are now fully supported in all modes, opening up more creative matchups. There's also a third-person camera option in online matches, so each player can control their own view of the action. One of the standout additions is The Island, a semi-open world hub. It's where players can roam, complete quests, take part in special events, and level up their custom My Superstar. It also ties into the new My Rise mode, which features a single shared story for male and female characters with brand new environments and unlockables. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell for more exciting content.